There are two selection tools that have been in Photoshop since the beginning: the rectangular marquee tool and the elliptical marquee tool, which is nested or hidden underneath. Selections allow you to take a given part of an image and copy and paste it into a new document or into another image. Another way to see your nested tools is to right-click, and you can see rectangular or elliptical. But I'm going to start with just one click on the rectangular marquee tool. And the first time you go to make a selection, it can be tricky to figure out where to start. If you want to select this rocket, I could start right at the corner, but as I click and drag, I've missed all of this part when I let go. Under the Select menu is Deselect, so I can start over. When you make a selection, you want to estimate the very upper left corner. If you hit that spot right and can imagine the already drawn rectangle, you can click and drag and get the whole thing. Now, I was still a hair off, but that's okay. Nobody's perfect on their first try, and I want to show you that if you make a selection and you were off, I allowed a little extra room on the right side, so I can click and drag this over, and now I've got the rocket. To put this into a new document, I'll choose Edit, Copy, and when you select from your File menu, New, Photoshop knows the last size you copied. I'm just going to click OK. I'm not going to name this because ultimately I'm not going to keep it. But now, Edit, Paste, and I've isolated the rocket out into its own image that I could save. I'm going to close this file, and I'm not going to save the one I cut out or copied out. So I can hit Don't Save, or on Windows you could hit No. And if I want to deselect, I can go back to Select and choose Deselect, or I could simply click once outside the marching ants, and that's the same as a deselect. Now if I look underneath the rectangular marquee tool by holding for 2 seconds, or right-clicking, I can choose the elliptical marquee. I find this one much more difficult to estimate where to start. In fact, I'll do View Zoom In a couple of times. View Zoom In. And I will scroll up until I reach this circle. And what I want to do is take this object on the rocket and make 3 of them. But a lot of people, when they go to select an area with the elliptical marquee, miss. If you do miss, but you could still estimate the size, I could let go, get in the middle, and move it. And it might be a little tight there and there. So if I click once away, I could try again going a little further left of the circle, then clicking and dragging. And now I've got the whole thing, and I think I'm happy with the selection. So I will choose Edit, Copy, and watch your Layers panel as I paste. Edit, Paste automatically, safely built a new layer. But you can't really see what's on that layer yet because it's exactly over top of the original circle. So if I go to my Move tool, the top tool in the toolbar will let me move an entire object that is isolated to its own layer. So with the Move tool, I'm just going to click and drag down, and now I've got 2 of these circles. I will call them because I don't know their technical term. And if I choose Edit, Paste one more time, it automatically pastes to the center of your window, but I'll just drag this to make a 3rd circle. And if it's jumping too much, I can use my arrow keys to nudge to visually align those. And just to encourage good layer habits, I am going to double-click in the middle of the words Layer 1 and name this Circle 1. And the same with Layer 2. Double-click in the middle of the words Layer 2 and name it Circle 2. Now to finish off, if I wanted to go back and select a different shape, like this, It's closer to a rectangle, more like a rounded rectangle. I would have to make sure I click on my background layer, because that's where the pixels actually exist. And I'll right-click on my elliptical marquee tool, go back to my rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to try to make a very tight selection of this, because there's what looks like denting happening here, and it's going to be really tricky to copy. I'm going to get a little bit of the denting, but I'm just going to have to let it go. I'm hitting my left arrow key once to nudge it over to make sure I have that in the right spot. And now I'll choose Edit Copy, Edit Paste. It made a safe new layer. I switch to my Move tool and drag this up above. And I do get a little bit of that shadow there. I'm just going to let it go for this example. I'll name this rectangle. And if you absolutely don't want to let it go, I could use my eraser tool to erase away a little bit of that edge. But it's going to be a really tricky area to erase away because of those little notches. It wouldn't erase this because I'm on the rectangle layer. If I click the eye next to background, this is the only thing on the rectangle layer. And now you can see circle 1 and circle 2. So I'll click the eye next to background again, and I'll clean up a little bit of the upper side, but I'm going to let the rest of this go. And I'll do View, Fit on Screen to see the finished result. And you've gotten a tour of the rectangular marquee tool, making selections to copy and paste in another document, and elliptical marquee tool, which I use to copy objects in the same document.